when I'm recording this, it's 3:30 in the morning. I wake up about 3 a.m., sometimes 2:30 a.m., some days even 1 a.m. I love my life. I love getting up. I love making videos. I love being of service. I love it. So that's why my voice this is the first time I've talked today. When I first talk in the morning, my voice is very deep. And the weather changed. So whenever the weather changes, my voice changes. So I'm not the smartest person in the world, nor do I have to be. I love the fact that there are people who are smarter than me. I want people to be smarter than me. I want people to focus on specific subjects in their lives so that I can learn from them. I don't have to be a know-it-all. I don't want to be a know-it-all. I want to be a know-it-less, especially if you've broken the ego in yourself, or if the ego is broken, you realize you don't know all that much. And actually, there's not really all that much to know. Outside of ego, it's like the less you know, the better. For real. But there is a strange phenomenon, especially this happened with the rise of Facebook. The rise of Facebook. And I'm going to talk about that today. But there's a video that this young man made called "I Have Midwit Fatigue." And when I saw it, I was watching it, and my husband saw it, and he goes, "Oh my God, you're right. We have been listening to and taking some very dumb people seriously. And why did we do that? Why did we as a culture start paying attention to dumb people, to midwits, to people who don't really know what the fuck they're talking about?" I'm going to get into that later, like how it all happened, but I have midwit fatigue. I'm kind of tired of the cockamamie shit and the popularity of some really dumb and stupid ideas. Now, this video may make you feel some type of way, but I don't think it should. The ego is what makes people midwits. It's not them. As soon as they drop that ego, they bask in infinite intelligence. See, the reason you don't have to know everything is because God knows everything. You just connect to source energy. You have all the answers you ever want to know when that ego breaks. You just get really present and you're like, this is the answer. It's that simple. It's that easy, but it's not that simple and it's not that easy. All right. So today on the Shaman Patrick Show, we're going to talk about, where are my smart people? Are you ready? Let's go.
He was once a storm in human form, sharp tongue, cold soul, heart worn and torn, living like a ghost who missed his grave till the spirit sang out and called him brave. He got rewired by the great unknown, heard the call like a dial tone to the bone. So pull up a chair, enjoy the glow. This is the Shaman Patrick Show.
The internet used to be for smart people. It did. I made my first website in 1995. It was like satire, news site. It was called Trouble. Get into it. 1995 was when I learned how to code a website. You had to be smart to know how to do that, because it wasn't as easy as just pushing a button. Building a website today still isn't as easy as just pushing a button, but you did have to be smart. And I was willing to learn how to use this new technology. From 1995 on up to 1998, I had a website that became very popular. I went and spoke at internet conferences, and I eventually ended up designing websites, being a Flash programmer, and on up until, I would say, about the year 2009, 2008, 2009, 2010. Up until that time, even with MySpace, you had to have a certain level of intelligence to navigate, operate, and be on the internet. You did. There wasn't a whole lot of kids. There wasn't a whole lot of dumb people. And I say this with just the coldness of it. Like there was etiquette. There were rules. You didn't flame people. You also didn't use your real name. It was considered a bad idea to use your real name or let people know who you really were. Most people hid behind screen names, but also the early internet, especially from 95 to the mid 2000s, it was a fairly polite, fun, wild place full of smart people and people who were smart enough to not do certain things because they knew the implications of them. And yes, we have to realize that there are dumb people. We have to realize that some people are not so smart. But the real danger, I think, are the people who are not that smart, who think they're smart. I think they can cause a whole lot of damage. And in talking about this, you have to realize, you have to know, are you a smart person or are you a dumb person? You have to know your strength. You have to know your power. There are many areas in life in which I'm pretty damn dumb. I am pretty stupid about some things. I'm not going to list them here, but there are some things that completely baffle me. I don't know how to do certain things. Some things are very difficult for me. I'm very dumb in many areas. There are also some areas in which I'm very smart. I'm very smart in some of these areas, but I also have that self-awareness. And when you have that self-awareness, you know your limits, you know what you're capable of, and you also know when people are wrong about you. You also know when you get it wrong. So a smart person will be a self-aware person. They'll be aware of who they are. They'll have examined their beliefs. They'll have done shadow work. They probably will have stepped a little bit beyond ego, if not dispensed of it entirely. But I consider, I consider Facebook when everybody and their mama could get on the internet. And then it was just this kind of it brought dumb people and it forced them to interact with content that they were not ready for. I've been an artist my whole life. I've had an eclectic friend group. I've had friends that were porn stars, pop stars, homeless people, childhood friends, and when all of this wild eclectic group of people got together on Facebook, I was like, it was bizarre. Like I didn't know how to talk to a group of friends who were so different from each other. And it was very difficult for me to have a Facebook because let's say I was friends with an uptight Christian woman, of which I had some at that time. And then they're talking, they see me commenting or talking with a porn star. It was very disturbing for them. They couldn't understand, like, how do you know these people, Patrick? How do you know these people? So it was very difficult for me to go from being on an internet where pretty much anything goes and certain people would never access certain content to now it's being rubbed in their faces. And some people couldn't handle it. Some people have called me intelligent. I might be, but at the same time, I don't even really think about it all that much. Nor do I put people down who are dumb or lack experience. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. But I think the midwit, what we're going to talk about today, they've reached a level of they don't need to know anything else. That they've learned everything. There's nothing more to know. And I think that is dangerous. And I think a smart person will always realize there is more to know. That there is probably no point when you're going to say, oh, I'm done with this subject. In my first year of sobriety, people with long-term recovery told me more will be revealed. Like I would have questions that they could not answer to me given my certain level and period of recovery. They're like, well, you're in early recovery for your first 5 years. So Patrick, I would just relax and stop trying to figure it out. More will be revealed. More will be revealed. So for somebody who gets sober today, if today is their first sober date, they're going to be in early recovery for the next 5 years as they rewire their brain and look forward to everything to make sense probably in 6 years. But the midwits, they just think they're smart. They think that there's nothing else to learn. And midwits have a really loud voice these days, thanks to the internet. They can get elevated, and these ideas can spread without smart people being able to say it at all. A midwit is very offended by smart people. They think smart people are dumb. They think smart people haven't figured it out. And I think this is a good topic to have because midwits get book deals, midwits get talk shows, midwits get a loud voice. I grew up when only the smart people got the biggest audiences for the most part. Like you expected smart people to be on TV. Now you can get a dumb person or a midwit on TikTok. Now let's watch this video from this guy and see. But see, there's no disrespect. There's no disrespect to this at all. It's just a recognition. It's like, oh, this is why maybe things got a little crazy because we've been paying attention to midwits. To me, it was like a revelation. It was like, oh, thank goodness somebody is talking about this. For real, thank you.
Have you ever spoken to someone and it seemed like they were more concerned with being technically correct rather than being correct on spirit?
Samantha says, import third world, get third world. Well, these are not imports. These are human beings. But if you're referring to, there being a farmer's market, that's kind of a first world thing.
This is a phenomenon which is called the midwit. This is someone that is about...
Let me see this graphic. It says, I'm going to need a source for that. And you have low IQ. This is cool. Low IQ says, mate, I trust my instincts. If it worked for me, grand, it will work for me. Simple as that. And then high IQ would say, it's perfectly rational to trust in your deep instincts since they evolved through generations of evolutionary pressure. And then the midwit would say, I'm going to need a source for that. I've encountered that. Like it's very difficult to just say things to midwit. And I'm going to use that term midwit. I think we bring that back. They're not dumb. They're not idiots. But at the same time, they're smart enough to...
average of the IQ bell curve, and they tend to think that they're way above everybody else in terms of their intellect. Whereas someone with a low IQ kind of knows they're kind of dumb and simple. Someone with a high IQ kind of gets that they're smart, but there's probably smarter people than them. It's the midwits, this kind of John Oliver, smarmy, sarcastic, I know.
Oh, these people. Ooh, yeah. I've listened to these people and it's wild. It's wild. He has a show on HBO and he has a very popular YouTube channel and they're smarmy and they're sarcastic. And I for the longest time, I thought they were just playing characters, and they might be playing characters. Like a midwit character, can be very, entertaining. But also, considering that bell curve, the midwit, it is the largest audience. Like if you want to appeal to a large audience, appeal to midwits. For real.
It's all kind of guy. All the people
it also used to be called the lowest common denominator. And now that I'm thinking about it, the mainstream, what we call mainstream, is really midwit stream.
actually piss me off. And I'm gonna like go through how to detect a midwit, the kind of traps and bullshit that you hear from midwits quite often. Not everybody middle of the IQ bell curve is a midwit. A midwit is someone that wants the illusion of being an intellectual and kind of like copies what they think a smart person would say or would do, rather than
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction. I might be a midwit. I'm probably a midwit, but I definitely do not try to put on airs that I know more than I actually know. I definitely don't do that. I don't know. I know of people. I've been involved in relationships with people who need, for some reason, if I know something, they need to one up me. That's a midwit behavior. One-upmanship, spiritual one-upmanship, knowledge one-upmanship. That's a midwit behavior.
than actually being smart. And the quickest way to identify a midwit is to make a generalization. Just say a general statement about something, and like sure as the sun will rise, a midwit will say, actually, not all people are like that. Not everybody in this group is like that. Like if you talk about how men are stronger than women, they'll bring up like Ronda Rousey or some crazy female powerlifter and see as if that like disproves your theory. It's as if you said every single man on planet Earth is stronger than every single woman on planet Earth. And that's just obviously not what you're getting at. They really do think if they bring up a exception to this trend, this rule, they've somehow like won the argument. They've somehow, debunked you, right? And it's for this reason that talking to these people is fucking exhausting.
It is exhausting. It is exhausting. And you're not having conversations with these people at all. They're trying to pick it apart. Like I remember in my early days of trying to help people with their ego issues. And I'd gotten over the fact that I needed to come up with my own teachings to teach people. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna grab a book and teach from that. So I was teaching from A New Earth. I was helping people study A New Earth and understand the egoic concept. And I worked with people who, when they would come to a session that they paid for, they would try to poke holes in what I was saying. And in one case, somebody was researching how ego was not true. Like instead of spending their time studying the material, they were spending hours upon hours researching how Eckhart Tolle was wrong, or how the concept of the ego was damaging or not good for you. And it was crazy because I couldn't reach this person. You know, sometimes when I was working in that rehab, here I was, a 50-year-old man with years of sobriety under his belt, and there would be a 19-year-old who had never lived, and he would actually tell me, Patrick, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what anything. And I'm like thinking to myself, how dumb do you have to be to tell especially when you're 19, to tell a 50-year-old who has something that you say you want, that they don't know anybody. It's midwittery. And we have this saying, seek to understand, not be understood. So I would try to understand these people. I would try to understand where they're coming from. And it made me dumber. It was exasperating. I believe that people are good, but here's the thing. If you hang out with 5 heroin addicts, what are you going to be? If you hang out with 5 alcoholics, if you hang out with 5 couples who are in a dysfunctional, toxic relationship, what's going to happen? And if you hang out with 5 midwits, what's going to happen? You're going to be exasperated and constantly frustrated because you can't have conversation with midwits who need to be right. They don't have the intellectual capacity to have a conversation with you, especially if you're well researched, well read, conscious, working a solid program, it's an exasperating situation. It just is.
Make generalizations to communicate information more efficiently and quickly.
Because you're not trying to be the smartest person in the room, but sometimes you might be. Especially if you read a whole hell of a lot of books. You're not trying to be. And this could make midwits feel some type of way.
For example, if I say summers are hot or winters are cold, you know that I don't mean literally every single summer day is going to be hotter and every winter day is going to be cold. There's going to be some exceptions, right? But generally, this is just how we say it. And it's quicker just to say winter is cold rather than having like a laundry list of caveats and exceptions to this. We're just trying to like communicate information quickly here, right? Now, if you do this with a midwit in the room, like they'll like jump into action and like bring up these exceptions, these rare cases where like, there was like in 1997, there was a winter day that was 27 degrees. Like that just totally invalidates the spirit of what you're saying. This is like very common in politics. It's just a way to like bog down conversations with trivial details and bullshit rather than actually discussing the core of the issue. They want to get it to pedantic bullshit just to basically stop a real conversation from happening. And this is really at the core of the midwit. They are obsessed with being correct by bullshit technicalities rather than actually addressing the spirit of the thing. A good example that happened relatively recently was when Trump was talking to I think the Prime Minister of South Africa, and he was showing the slideshow to him, and he showed a picture in the slideshow of these it was these like crosses representing like a white South African farmer that was killed, right? And he made the technical error of saying that these were gravestones or grave sites, rather than saying that they were just a totem of someone that died, right? And of course, like the midwits in legacy media were going crazy about this. Like, oh, look at this. Look how uninformed Donald Trump is. Look at how he made this technical mistake. It's fucking ridiculous. Like,
it is ridiculous. People have done this with me. Like, I'll missay a word. Obviously, sometimes on these videos I misspeak, and you guys know when I do that. Like I said something about, I said somebody had sleeves on their shirt when it was sleeveless. Well, obviously I meant sleeveless. Obviously I meant sleeveless. I mean, but sometimes especially when you're interacting with people who want to be smarter than you and want to be more well-read than you. I mean, their spiritual one-upmanship is crazy. Like it's crazy. When we wrote the book, The Machinations of Ego, if you would like to get a copy of our book, Machinations of Ego, get it, read it, wake the fuck up. We wrote that book primarily because we were having conversations with people who said, Patrick, we need an ego. You need an ego. You don't understand the ego. And we primarily wrote that book to show to ourselves and to other people, like, this is how we feel about the ego. And we have come to the conclusion that you don't really need an ego, and it's all in this book if you choose to read it. And we wrote a book about it, and we felt like we had to get it out because we kept having, it wasn't a big deal, but, the ego is the root of all human suffering. And I would love to be able to tell you that. I would love to be able to say to people, hey, you don't need an ego. I've gone through this almost decade-long process, and my husband and I have talked about it to death. We've examined it from all these different angles. We've also worked with people, helping them with their ego issues. And the ego is the root of all suffering. That's it. The ego is the source of all human disease, conflict, war. I want to be able to tell you that you don't really need an ego. But to maybe a midwit or somebody, they want to prove that wrong. They want to prove that very simple, easy to address, easy to understand statement and get it all messed up in technicalities. Because sure, all of y'all are going to find out that the ego is the source of all human suffering. Every person is going to awaken. Some people might die before they understand it. Some people might have to go to jail to get it. Some people might have to go through tragedies to get it. But eventually, in every human being, that ego will break, and then they will see that they were creating their suffering. They were causing their suffering. A midwit is going to be creating their suffering and get mad at people who are trying to help them alleviate their suffering. Kukaduka. It is crazy town. Crazy town. It is. But you have to recognize where you are in this time space reality. I don't think anybody who watches this channel is going to be one of those people who needs to be the smartest person in the room. But if you're my people and you're coming out, you're healing, you're growing, so there will be many times that you're going to be the smartest person in the world. And it's just part of it. Well-read people who are looking inside themselves. I mean, I think just doing a bare minimum of shadow work makes you smarter than people who are not doing shadow work, because not doing shadow work is really self-destructive and damaging.
We're talking about the fucking same thing. Whether it's a gravestone or a markation of someone that died, doesn't fucking matter. Like, this is a technical detail. The spirit of it is that these people have been killed. Like, that's bad. Like, that's the focus of the conversation here. But no, they want to take it to like technical, trivial details that don't fucking matter. And I think the midwit kind of comes from this kind of teacher's pet mentality, where, you know, these people have been like rewarded for being like technically correct and, you know, following orders and getting good grades. Like, this is kind of their thing, right? And this kind of leads me on to some errors in behavior that different IQ groups tend to exhibit.
I want to talk about that teacher's pet. You know, the fact that I refused to get the jab, even though my job was threatening me. Like, I was going to get fired from my job in 2021 unless I took that weird, insane, mystery fluid substance that was never tested. I mean, to me, it seemed really stupid to do that. I mean, I was like, I got enough health problems. I don't need to introduce something crazy into my body. But to a midwit, they might say, well, why, who are you to question that? Like, why don't you believe the experts? Why don't you believe doctors? Well, at that point in my life, I had been burned by enough doctors. I mean, in my 40s, I was on like 15, 18 different medications. And I don't trust a doctor anymore. I don't believe a doctor anymore, because doctors are not taught critical thinking skills in medical school. They're taught they are taught how to keep people sick, essentially, how to address the symptoms. It's really hard for me to go on a doctor visit and not leave there with a prescription. And I actually try to challenge doctors and say, do I really need to take a pill for that, or is there another way I can address that? And I know this about the medical profession and the industry. The goal is to make you sick and to keep you on the line forever. I've wised up to that, but I also had to get stuck in the system. And I also know, having been placed in a mental institution, that you don't want the government in control of your life. They forced me to be on disability, something I couldn't get off of. And I couldn't have a job. And it was enforced poverty. I didn't want that. It made life very difficult. Like, if I made too much money, it was just a nightmare. But that's based on my experience. That wisdom came from my experience. A smart person would say, oh, Patrick, you're experienced in this area, so I hear you. But a midwit wouldn't know how to learn from experience. They would look at that experience and say, well, that happened to you. It doesn't happen to everybody. And I'm like, well, that's true. That's technically true. But if it can happen to me, it can happen to you too. That's the smart person thing. It can happen. Like anybody could walk into a psychiatrist's office, get diagnosed with depression, get put on medication, and a few years later, you're institutionalized. Oh, that's a common story. That's a common story. Some people just want help with their, they're going through a breakup or something serious has happened to them. They go see a psychiatrist. Next thing you know, they're on an antidepressant. And then when that antidepressant stops working, they get an antidepressant for their antidepressant. And then when that stops working, they start getting psychotic. And then they have to get on an antipsychotic. And then their life falls apart. No one is served by psychiatry. Psychiatry has not cured one single person at all. Zero, zilch, no one. It's helped no one. And that is crazy. But I had to go deep in that system to truly find that out. But midwits don't believe me when I say that. They're like, what do you mean? So how could it be $1 billion industry and not help one single person? That's crazy. And I'm like, I know. I know it's crazy. It's not medicine. What is it? It's not medicine. It's not science. What is it? Witchcraft?
Easily understood error of someone in an IQ group are people with a low IQ. They tend to be more at risk for violent crimes. I believe violent crime worldwide peaks at around an 85 IQ. So that's kind of like their danger, right? And on the other hand, people with a high IQ, they tend to have a problem with being too neurotic, right? They tend to have a problem with like just anxiety and like concerning themselves too much with existential problems. Like this is kind of this is the fault of the high IQ person, to the point where, they're so neurotic that it kind of paralyzes them into doing stuff, right?
And I think that's an important distinction. Like low IQ, high IQ, middle IQ, like everybody's fucked in some way. I mean, a smart person is not better than anybody else. I mean, there are some dumb people who are extremely wealthy. I might even personally know a few of them. I mean, Jeff and Shalea Divine, not very smart people. They're wealthy. But you have that. I would say Jeff and Shalea Divine are midwits, but they have a lot of money. So they've figured something out. Like, sure, you can figure something out when you're dumb and are midwit. There are also people who are very high IQ and they can't function in mainstream midwit society. It's very difficult for a high IQ person to function in a society that treats them as if they don't know anything. So, I mean, everybody's fucked. I mean, but this midwit fatigue, these midwits, they have it all figured out. There's nothing more to learn. I would say a low IQ person knows that there's more to learn. A high IQ person would realize there's more to learn. But these midwits who feel like they have all the answers, it's very difficult to interact with people like that. It's hard. Life is hard around these people.
Now, the fatal flaw of someone that is middle IQ is conformity. Conformity is like the real danger of being a middle IQ person, right? Since I think if you're like average IQ, you are smart enough to follow orders well. You can memorize stuff that people in authority tell you a lot better than someone that's a dimwit, right? But you're not smart enough to have critical thinking where you can basically think through things that are incorrect that you are told. Does that make sense? And yeah, conformity with people.
I think it does make sense because especially during 2020, I have critical thinking skills. My husband has critical thinking skills, but there were people in my family that didn't have these. It was very shocking to me. I thought people had critical thinking skills. I mean, why would I not think that people had critical thinking skills? But then I saw people just accepting things as true without questioning things. Like, I question everything. I just don't believe shit. I'm a very skeptical person, and that is Toltec wisdom. Be skeptical, but learn to listen. And I'm a very skeptical person. I hear people out. I want to know stuff. I want to know. That's why I can't watch the news, because for every 30 seconds of news that you watch, I have to go research that. It's when people bring me cockamamie ideas. And I think that sometimes people would bring stuff to me to wear me down and cause me busy work. But all that masking and that 6 feet apart, I remember in 2020 going to a Chinese restaurant and with my husband and my brother-in-law, and I wasn't gonna wear a mask because I had COPD. I had really bad breathing problems at that time, and I wasn't gonna wear a mask because I was gonna pass out if I wore a mask. This white lady came up to me in this Chinese restaurant with a mask on, and she said, "I think you would feel more comfortable if you put a mask on." And I said, what do you mean? She goes, you don't want to catch it. And I go, catch what? She goes, and if you don't put your mask on, I'm going to ask you to go outside. I'm like, bitch, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? All of 2020, all that misinformation, it just empowered busybodies, Karens, to just be as nasty as they want to be. And it really revealed to me just how dumb people are. People I used to respect and hold in high regard, and to watch them not have critical thinking skills, it was sad. I was like, man, I can't believe that you just don't have these critical thinking skills. And the way that, because I wouldn't go along with what I was told, especially as something as crazy as 6 feet apart, or you remember water droplets and all that kind of stuff. I mean, being gay, I knew enough about viruses, how they're transmitted. I mean, all gay men know about HIV, and I kept saying to them, viruses don't really work that way. Like what these symptoms of COVID are a cold and a virus. Like that sounds like a cold. That sounds like symptoms of a common cold, not a virus. Like it was maddening. It was maddening because my husband and I, we researched all this stuff. We listened to alternative opinions because we wanted to make the right choice for us. So we are not the kind of people that just do what we're told or believe what we believe. We're constantly examining our beliefs. And that's the definition of being open-minded. To be open-minded is to constantly weigh evidence against your favored beliefs. Hey, I know that I might be wrong about many of the things I talk about here. And I love being wrong. I love it when I realize I'm wrong, because if you need to be absolutely right about something, you have to be willing to be wrong about it first. Are you willing to be wrong about something? I'm willing to be wrong about a lot of things. I'm not tied to it. I want to know the truth because I know the universe loves truth. Living in truth is a lot easier than living in falseness. I know that.
People that are around this IQ bracket is kind of nuts. Japan has this like crazy, like ridiculous drinking culture where, there's like these male businessmen that go out, on like the weekend. And there's like this weird like dynamic where people want to fit in with the group of men around them. So they end up drinking an absurd amount of alcohol to the point where they get alcohol poisoning. Just to keep up with the other guy that's thinking the same thing, that doesn't really want to drink that much, but was also trying to drink a lot to impress the guy that doesn't want to drink that much either. So it's like this, you're kind of fucking yourselves over by this level of conformity. Whereas if there was like a low IQ person there, you could be like, oh, nah, this is bullshit. I don't want to do this. Why am I drinking so much? And a high IQ person can like articulate why this isn't a good idea, what's going on, and the social dynamics and yada yada. But if you're kind of middle IQ, like this is kind of a danger for you, right? Like just to be way too conformist, do things that don't make any fucking sense, that a dumb person and smart person could say.
Like that right there. That's crazy, isn't it? But I saw a lot of people with that mask shit go on. Here's a therapist told me years ago. She suggested that I was drinking, that I did drugs in order to get along with people. Because she said that I was intelligent, but I had to dumb myself down by drinking. And I rejected that. I rejected that. But now I see it was very lonely to be a smart kid. Like, I was in gifted and talented classes when I was a child. It was lonely to be a smart kid. It was very lonely. And I suspect a lot of people who are smart or intelligent have a difficult time fitting in with mainstream society. And because you do see things that other people can't see, especially if you're dealing with midwits like this. It's a very frustrating, exasperating experience. But then again, I know some intelligent people who are more intelligent than me. They don't necessarily feel like they're better than other people. They're just self-aware. They just recognize it. They recognize that they know more than other people. I mean, an older person, somebody who's 70 years old would know more about life than I do if they're not a midwit. These midwits just stay children forever. And I think I'm going to start calling the mainstream the midwit stream, because that's all it is. It's just midwit logic. It's just the midwit stream.
Say is a bad idea. And a funny thing happens, this phenomenon where people that are low IQ and high IQ often come to similar conclusions. A very good example of this is the need to breed, right? Like the reproduction rates, right? Like that is a concern for people that are low IQ and high IQ. Like I could go to someone that is living in a cave that can't even read. You couldn't even teach him to read. And I could explain to him why having 2 or more kids is important, because, you want your genetics to continue and your worldview and ideology to continue throughout generations, right? Like someone that is low IQ is going to understand that. This guy in the cave is going to nod his head at that. And if I tell this to someone that is high IQ, like a real...
Telegrams reveals he has 100 kids in 12 countries. Damn, is that him? Daddy. Shit, you want to make me pregnant?
Intellectual, like he'll totally get it as well, right? The only people that have talked themselves into not reproducing are midwits. These are the only people that have done the mental gymnastics.
What a dumb bitch.
To come to the conclusion that they shouldn't have kids because of what they've been told, like global warming, that the world's going to end in like 12 years, or there's problems with AI and all these social problems, so I shouldn't have kids. They've done all these mental gymnastics to come to this conclusion that is just totally obviously bullshit from someone that is low IQ and high IQ. Like they both come to that conclusion that having kids is kind of fucking important.
I think it's important. Merrick and I are not going to have kids, but we're going to help parents who do have kids be better parents. That's what we're like. Well, we're not going to have kids. What are we going to do with our lives if we don't have kids? Well, let's help out the parents out there who are going to have kids. We want people to have kids. What's the point of living? What's the point of life if you're not going to have kids? I mean, I would probably be a really good dad, but it's not in the cards for me. And I'm not going to pass on my genes. I'm like the last of my family line. I'm adopted. There ain't going to be nobody like me ever again. So I want to help as many people. Help it. And see, in helping parents, you're actually helping kids. So a life of service means that you want to help people. But midwits are really fucking selfish. They are selfish fucking people.
People that, have talked themselves out of this is this middle of the road, like college educated, soy-lennial type of person, right? College
makes you dumb. College makes you so fucking dumb. It's sad. It's so dumb. It's so sad. I can't even believe. I don't know why somebody would go to college these days. It's like the dumbest shit you can do, because you're especially if your parents aren't paying for it, you're going to get saddled with student loans. You're going to get indoctrinated, and AI is coming. Like there's people right now whose jobs will be eliminated due to AI, and they'll still owe those student loans. Hey, look, a few years ago when I told people that college degrees are going to go extinct, you're not going to need a college degree in the future, that you'll just be trained in the future. College is going away. Like it's just going away. And people made fun of me. They said, Patrick, you're stupid. You're dumb. College ain't going away. Midwits probably. And then I saw laws getting changed where jobs that you used to have a college degree for, you no longer had to have a college degree for. Even President Trump signed executive orders about how it's ridiculous to think that you should pay $50,000 a year to get a $15 an hour job. That's dumb. Only a dumb person would do that. And in our community, working in recovery, especially with young men, they're becoming electricians. They're learning trades. They're learning things that pay them a lot of money, and you don't have to go to college for that. The men that don't go to college, they're really fucking smart. They don't get indoctrinated by the system. College is a scam. Everybody knows that now, except for the midwits.
They're the only people that don't seem to understand what a literal caveman could understand. People that have a low IQ kind of instinctually get truths that an intellectual would understand and be able to, explain in a more fluent way. But like often,
I personally don't think I'm a low IQ. I don't think I'm a super high IQ. I might be somewhere around here, maybe. I don't really know. I don't even fucking care. But these types of people, I can have just the deepest conversations with. I love talking to low IQ people because they're not trying to be somebody they're not. Sometimes you just want to have some fun. Sometimes you just want to have a good time. These people right here, oh my God, these people will drive you to drink. They will drive you to fucking drink.
Sometimes low IQ people kind of get when something's not quite right. Like,
a low IQ person would say, well, I ain't never thought of that way. I ain't never thought of that. But a midwit would say, what the fuck you talking about, boy?
The trust in the media, right? A low IQ person can instinctually get that he is being gaslit by the media, the legacy media. He may not be able to articulate why and how this is happening, as well as someone that is like a true intellectual. But, the low IQ person's on the right track. I think conspiracy theories are a pretty good example of this, right? The only people that thought that nothing fishy was going on during the pandemic were midwits. They were the only people that thought nothing fishy was going on. If you just think through this, right?
It was crazy. I cannot believe that happened. I cannot believe that happened. I was resentful about 2020 for the longest time, but 2020 was when I realized I was surrounded by clowns. I realized I was in a circus. I realized, oh my God, these people are dumb. Oh my God, these people are dangerous. Here's how I don't care if you got the jab or not, but I realized that anybody who just got the jab was never going to stick up for me. They were never going to be a ride or die for me. They were going to go along with something that it was dangerous. These people could not be trusted. And I'm not talking about anybody else out there, but the people in my life who just said, yep, load me up. I'm like, I can't trust you people. I can't trust you people. I don't even want to eat their cooking. I don't want to eat cooking from somebody who just said, yep, boost me. That person cannot be trusted.
It's kind of obvious that the pandemic was an excuse for the elites to siphon more money from people in like the middle and lower classes, right? I think this is kind of obvious, and you don't really need to go into conspiracies to see this. You can kind of just look at the graph, right, and look at the wealth gap, but also just look at things with your own fucking eyes. Remember during the pandemic how all of these like small businesses were closed, right? Like every street, they were all closed up. Every mom and pop's shop was closed. And yet Walmart was still open.
Oh, this was crazy because we couldn't go to AA meetings in person. We couldn't go to our recovery meetings in person, but the liquor stores were open. Like, it was so dumb. It was so frustrating and stupid and dumb. Like, you couldn't go to church, but you could go to Walmart. Like, it didn't make any sense. Like, either the virus is super deadly or it's not. And it was a way to install the shopping by app, even the menus, like especially when they opened up restaurants and they couldn't hand out menus. And so they wanted QR codes. It seemed like they were trying to get to install something, some new way of life. But obviously it didn't work because now people are back to menus. But maybe it was just the slow creep of communism, just a little bit at a time, But I like whatever is going on is really fucking bad. And the midwits in my life it was a crazy, crazy time. I realized how truly stupid some people were. It was sad. I mourned a lot of, it was like a nuclear bomb going off on all my relationships. I had to put people in a category of, I can no longer respect you because you would sell out your own family. Because, Merrick and I both almost got fired for not getting that jibby jab. And now it's come out that all that stuff, like, you should never have gotten it. It's terrible. Anybody who got it, I pray for you. I pray for you if you put that shit in your veins. I know you can clear it spiritually, but come on. When the government is forcing you to do something, is that good for you? Wasn't good for me.
All of these big retail corporations, they were continuing on. It's only the small businesses that, for whatever reason, couldn't get past the regulation. It's not really a conspiracy if you can kind of see what's happening with your own fucking eyes, right? Like, someone that is low IQ is going to get that. Someone with a high IQ is going to get that. It's only the midwits that are going to argue against that.
It was in the rehab that I worked, the midwit, like, every time somebody tested positive for COVID, they would have to leave the facility. And it was stupid. It was dumb. Like, it's like, this virus doesn't even kill people anymore. Like, nobody had died from it. And nobody died from it. And well, we have to lock down. Nobody can go to church. It was mind-bogglingly stupid. And, here's the thing about drug addicts. They're smart people. You have to be smart to be a drug addict. That's why I think smart people get involved in drugs so they can dumb themselves down just to get along in this society. But drug addicts are very smart. You would have to be smart to be a drug addict, to get illegal drugs, to do all that. Drug addicts are very smart people, very intelligent people. And so in that facility, when you would test positive for COVID, God, this is so dumb. I'm going to die of dumbness. It's so dumb. It is so dumb.
It's only the midwits that are gonna try and argue about some technicality rather than just accepting what they see with their own fucking eyes. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.
I did enjoy that video. As well. Oh, it's serving me up my own videos. Well, here we go. Isn't that nice? So finally, I just want to say, if I think the best thing to do is just stop paying attention to midwits. Stop doing it. Stop giving them time. Stop giving them an audience. But if you know that somebody is a midwit, it's easy to ignore. You don't have to get upset by it. You don't have to get angry at it. You don't have to get all bent out of shape about it. You could, like, the thing about a midwit is that they're going to sound smart. So you may not know that you're dealing with a midwit until you've heard a lot of stuff from them. I would say Aubrey Marcus is a midwit. Jeff and Shalea are below a midwit. They're just dumb. And somehow they have found themselves with a lot of money. But when you know that people are midwits, if you know people have spiritual brain rot, you don't have to pay attention to them anymore. It's a freeing thing. Watching that video from him, Aesthetics Waiting TV, I'm going to link that video below. Knowing that, it's like, oh, thank you. These people are just it's midwittery. I don't have to fuck with this shit anymore at all. All right. Well, thank you for joining me for this episode of the Shaman Patrick Show. If you would like to help support the work we do, please like and subscribe, comment, or use an emoji if you've got nothing to say. Share this content with others, join this channel, support the work we do, and get access to members-only videos and features. Thank you for watching and growing with us. All right, now it's time for the AI song that I have not yet written. I don't know what this song is going to be about. I think it might be about realizing that somebody you thought was smart is actually just dumb. I think that would be a good topic. But so whatever song it is, have this song take you out. I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Mwah.
Fake deep's the new deep. Shallow and philosophers making complicated beats. Word salad buffet, all garnish, no play. Confusing pontificate with communicate. Tit talk messiahs with PowerPoint halos. They got castles built out of old Play-Doh. Buzzword bingo in a three-piece suit. You gotta put these assholes on mute. Sick of the midwits, brains on strike. I'd rather get my news from a karaoke mic. Sick of the midwits, they shout, I yawn. They're the emperor's new clothes with the tag still on. Kiddie pool divers bragging about pearls. Can't tell a theorem from a cat video girl. Stating sources like a drunk name drop. Throwing politics in the mix just to be on top. Short attention spans, they're